Welcome back, my students, to a brand new episode of Comic Class. Today's lesson, guys, we're going to be talking about Donny Cates' Hulk #1. And yeah, we haven't really covered the Hulk on the channel, but I have been hearing a lot of good things about the first issue of this run that I just started. I think like maybe a week ago, maybe even less than a week ago. And I checked out the issue. I thought it was really good, and I decided that we will be covering this series on the channel. I believe it releases bi-weekly, so expect a review every time an issue comes out. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into today's story. So this story basically starts off, or I guess the issue starts off, with Hulk basically punching like this doorway that's like really huge. And it's revealed to us that this doorway is a type of like, I guess, mind thing inside of Bruce Banner's mind. And he's basically confronted by like a type of image of Betty Ross, and she's basically questioning Bruce and what exactly he's doing, trying to like trap the Hulk basically in his mind and not let him like come out. And we get to see a little tease on what exactly might have happened, with Betty basically mentioning that something happened, a tragedy in El Paso. And I've been looking at like comments and that, and people said that we don't know what happened. So this isn't something that happened in a previous run. It seems like this is something that happened off panel. So I'm guessing this will get revealed in the next few issues coming up in the story. But we get to see that he basically tells Betty that no one kind of knows exactly what Bruce actually is, that he believes he's kind of like losing himself, and that he's gonna become something like really dark. And he basically has the image of Betty basically just like vanish from his mind. And he basically goes into a room, like a type of like control room, and basically like just takes control and kind of just tells himself that he's gonna get through this because, you know, he's strong. He basically says, I am strong. And we get to see that the Avengers basically are having a discussion on exactly what they're going to have to do with the Hulk because of what's happening. And Doctor Strange basically tells them that Hulk has actually created something called a Hulk spaceship or something like that, basically creating a machine that goes on top of the Hulk's head and kind of like a helmet, and it's allowing Bruce Banner to basically keep his intelligence, like his mind, and basically just use the Hulk strength and figured out ways to like make triggers to make the Hulk even angrier and become stronger. That way he can get the goal of what he wants. So we'll see that in a little bit. So the Hulk basically takes on the Hulkbuster, and Tony is basically engaging in a fight with Bruce. And he engages Bruce with a ton of different Hulkbusters, and they basically all gang up on him. They shoot these missiles that basically release like these type of like nanotech particles, and he basically calls them nanoparticle sharpnel, and it basically is trying to rip the Hulk from the inside out, which was a really cool thing. And basically tries to trap him. He basically gets into his like arm, his left arm or right arm, and he basically like tries to trap him in a type of, I guess, vibranium cage or something like that. And Hulk basically gets super angry, and he just like rips his arm off, basically like rips it to where it's like just bone, and he basically just uses his other hand to basically sever his arm that was trapped by the type of nanotech that Stark was using. And they basically engage in their fight again, and like I said, Bruce is basically using the Hulk's anger in a different way, and that he's able to keep amping it up because now he's using like a type of method to do it, and it's pretty cool how it's explained in the comic. You're not going to be seeing everything in this review because I do recommend you go check it out for yourself. But there is a scene that basically explains how he's doing this, so I do recommend you check out the issue after you finish this video if you haven't already. But basically he's amping up the Hulk over and over again to make sure he beats and wins this battle over Tony. So we get a lot of cool action panels. Eventually Hulk is literally destroying Iron Man's suit so bad that it basically is showing off his head. His head's not like guarded anymore, and almost, you know, gets killed by the Hulk in a way. He's like super beat and beaten down, and eventually we get to see what the Hulk's goal is, and it's like a type of like celestial technology, I guess, that has like a portal to somewhere that can teleport people of Earth in case another King in Black type of scenario happens, that which happened with Noel when he came and like ripped the Century in half and was able to like be on the level of over Celestials and stuff like that. And Tony basically tells Hulk, Banner, I guess, that he can't go in there. He has no idea where exactly he'll send him. But Bruce doesn't heed the warnings. Basically, just shuts himself in there. Just walks through, and basically says that he needs to do this, as he has no idea what exactly he's going to become. After a while. So there's something happening with Bruce, and this darkness that's like overtaking him, and he basically goes off into like this type of like time stream or space like transporter type thing. It's not really explained what it is. It's just supposed to take people to another place. So I'm guessing that means another planet, maybe another universe. I don't know. Maybe it'll get explained this issue. But overall, he basically goes into this place, and he's basically just smiling, like a real evil smile. So it's almost like he's scared of what he's going to become, but at the same time, he's like excited in a way. He's almost like losing himself, personality wise. And the issue ends with the door basically being shown again, with the Hulk basically raging and still not able to break through the door. And he's basically saying that at the end of the issue, that he's not being controlled by his rage anymore, and that he's being fueled by it, which is pretty cool because that's exactly what he's doing when he was fighting the Hulkbuster, with Tony and the Hulkbuster. And yeah, to beat Tony Stark is no easy feat, especially in this type of situation where he's using that nanotech sharpener. That just like sounds ridiculous, and any other person probably would have succumbed to that. But Hulk was actually able to power through it, which is really cool. And we know that he's going to be getting stronger, considering what Doctor Strange was saying, that they're going to look at him as the greatest threat they've ever faced. So I'm wondering if Donny Cates is setting up Hulk to be like a big event villain, which should be really cool. So we'll see where that takes us, probably in 2022. I'm guessing we'll get an event with Hulk, but we'll see if that happens with Donny Cates. Considering he did really good with King in Black, I'm guessing they're allowing him to kind of like dictate their events for right now until he like drops the ball eventually. But yeah, so the issue basically starts off with this type of like organization that I guess patrols like space time, some type of like in between space between dimensions or something like that, and they're basically trying to get the Hulk slash Bruce Banner to basically stop and I guess turn back from wherever he came from. But the Hulk basically just keeps speeding on, and he just like straight up like just murks all these people, and it's implied that he just like straight up kills these guys without even noticing. Bruce doesn't even notice what exactly is going on until after they're all like killed off, and he kind of like crashes into some type of like spaceship or something like that. So I thought that was really cool, and just the fact that the guy was like screaming for him to stop, and considering these guys seem to be a type of like gatekeepers for this dimension, or this rift between dimensions. It's really cool to see Hulk just one shot, and it's trying to see a little bit of Ryan Otley dive into some more like type of like bloody slash gore type stuff you saw from his Invincible days. So I thought that was really cool. We get to see that the Hulk, in his mind, basically in Bruce Banner's mind slash the Hulk's mind, which is kind of weird, but he's basically being baited by Banner to basically try to break out of these like streams of energy that are basically trying to push him into like a black hole, or kind of like throw him into a black hole, bring him into the black hole. And it's really cool. So Banner's basically trying to break out of these like energy binds by getting the Hulk to get even more angrier, thus getting more powerful. It even mentions that the Avengers must have been able to find him because for some reason these energy streams basically are scanning his, I guess, biometric system, which is really cool. So Banner is forced to use stage 3, which is putting a giant-sized Wolverine against the Hulk. And this happening in his like mindscape, in the Hulk's mindscape. So it's a really cool scene, and we get to see the Hulk basically take out this giant-sized Wolverine's eye, and also one of his adamantium claws, which is really cool. I think it was like the middle claw he just ripped out of this giant-sized Wolverine. I thought the whole idea of giant-sized Wolverine was really funny. It's like kind of like making fun of giant-sized X-Men, I think. It's like a play on words, so I thought that was funny. And Betty's like, I don't know what you would call it. It's not like an illusion. It kind of is, but it's like, this like illusion of her basically in Bruce's mind, this type of person that he's created that's supposed to represent Betty. Basically, it's supposed to be like Bruce's like conscience, I'm guessing, trying to get him to stop because she feels like he's gonna get the Hulk killed, and the Hulk basically is, taking on this giant sized Wolverine, taking off his adamantium claw, which is ridiculous. We know how strong adamantium is supposed to be. It's supposed to be almost unbreakable, next to vibranium, of course, being Captain America's shield is vibranium. But I think it's pure vibranium, Captain America's shield. But we get to see that, Banner basically says that he's the strongest one there is, and he's able to beat the giant size Wolverine. But in doing so, Betty does mention that, Banner has made a deal with the devil. Now, I'm not sure if that means he made a deal with Mephisto or not, or Mephisto, however you say his name. The same that Peter did in the One More Day storyline. So we'll have to find out if that happened, if he made a deal with Mephisto, because it seems like a lot of people are doing that nowadays in Marvel. And Mephisto's definitely been having a way huger role in modern Marvel, for sure. So, especially with WandaVision, I think making him even more popular, or I'm not sure if he was in that show or not, but I do know that people have been talking about him a lot more since that show. So it wouldn't surprise me if Donny Cates is using Mephisto with Banner to try to make some more interesting dynamics with Mephisto in the Marvel Universe. And basically, Banner's whole control station is just exploding, and the threads that are basically trying to push him, pull him into this black hole. Basically, I'm not sure if they succeed or not, but Banner wakes up in this area, and all his controls are basically destroyed. It seems like the Hulk in his subconscious was able to defeat the giant-sized Wolverine, and we get this white shade of light, basically, just a flash of light, and we're transported by the threads, the strings of energy, to this area to where it seems like he's being trapped with some type of force field. It's basically saying, to let him out, and it's revealed to us that there's a man here that says that there's other people like the Hulk. It's implied that he's talking about multiverses of Hulk that he was able to capture, and it's revealed to us as Banner asks him who he is that's in the shadows. He comes out of the shadows and he reveals to them that his name is Dr. Bruce Banner. And yeah, so it seems like Bruce Banner from this multiverse is capturing Hulks, and for some reason, so hopefully we get to see what that reason is. And it was actually a really good way to end the issue. I'm really interested to see where this story is going to go, and maybe this version of Banner understands what's going on with the Banner of the main Marvel Universe, and how he can stop him from turning to the monster that he thinks he's going to become, or is implying that he's going to become. So I really think that's where the story is going to take, with this version of Bruce Banner trying to help our version not to go insane and try to kill the entire Marvel Universe. As Doctor Strange and others think that he's going to be a threat. The Avengers think this is going to be an Avengers level threat, and that's going to threaten the whole world, pretty much. So hopefully that's not the case. And yeah, so this story basically started off with us getting a little bit of an explanation of the stuff that was teased in issue 1 with an incident that happened in El Paso or something like that. And apparently a lot of people got killed by the Hulk or something like that. He went into a rampage. And while Bruce Banner is basically having this internal crisis, we get to see that there's a dark version that's pure black of the Hulk. So I'm guessing this is going to be the new version that he was mentioning to Tony during issue 1 when they had their fight. Going into the present though, into the real world, he basically talks to his alternate universe self, and it's revealed to us during this that there are others that are like the 616 Hulk, Bruce Banner, but in this person's alternate universe, he actually helped create them, other versions of, the so-called Hulks, basically. And when Bruce basically reveals that he's actually the same as Bruce Banner, they both share the same name. They basically say that perhaps they should trade notes or share notes. And eventually we get to see that the Hulk is still fighting against that giant Wolverine dude. But the ship basically tells Bruce that he's going to go into overload if he doesn't stop it. And we get a little tease of that Dark Hulk again. And Hulk basically tries to attack him, but he disappears before he can, get to him and land a hit. He basically says, to please come back. So it seems like there's something there that is going to get revealed hopefully in this issue. We get the backstory of this Bruce Banner that's from this alternate universe, and apparently the gamma bomb that made the Hulk in the 616 universe basically was a success and didn't affect this Bruce. So he's not actually a Hulk himself in this universe, but because of the success of the experiment in this universe, he uses that to make tons of Hulks in the world, and that was not a good move. As we see that he fills the entire planet, not, I guess, just the United States, with these Hulk creatures, and they're kind of like deformed and stuff like that. All different types of them, basically, as you can see in the panel. Just tons of different versions. One looks like the Shield, one looks like the regular Hulk in the very back, but more like obese and stuff like that. And then one looks like a scorpion alien creature, the one has like a giant head with a little body. Just tons of different versions. And it's revealed to us that what happened is that Bruce, when he was being pulled into that machine, if you remember in, I believe it was the second issue, when he was traveling in between dimensions, that was actually this Bruce that brought him through the dimension and wanted to study him. And he's basically been ascending all these whole creatures that he created on the Earth through this portal device, and basically just sends them somewhere. He has no idea where he's sending them, basically. And the issue ends with the reveal after Bruce asks, this Bruce, on why he's doing this and who is in charge, because this Bruce basically says that he forced him to basically build this device, and that he doesn't even know, where these things go when he puts them in this, like, portal, dimension portal. It reveals that the person that's telling him to do all this is that it's his father-in-law, who is President Ross. So in this universe, General Ross basically becomes the president of the United States, and that's how the issue ends. Pretty good way to end the issue, and we'll see how exactly all that plays out in the next view. On issue 3, with General Ross basically being the president of the United States of Earth 122, and we start off with him as well as his advisors and vice president, I'm guessing, or advisors in the White House. And he basically says he wants to go on the front lines and meet this new Bruce Banner that actually has the Hulk powers, as we found out that this Bruce Banner that is from this universe actually never became the Hulk, and instead they used his research to basically create the Abominations. So that's pretty cool, and other Hulk-like creatures. Now we also get to see that stuff like mutant kind was basically wiped out before they could really populate like crazy in this universe. So that was pretty cool, and the scene with Jean Grey holding Cyclops' like decapitated head, like his body, was pretty brutal. The scene actually shows his head getting blown off, as well as his visor basically just flying off as his head explodes with the Sentinels, or their like Iron Man type technology that they took when Iron Man basically, I guess, like committed suicide. Tony Stark in this universe committed suicide, so that's pretty like crazy. And yeah, we get to see that Banner and Banner, both of them basically, Banner from this universe lets the Banner from our universe basically know that General Ross has sent reinforcements to try to capture him, as well as try to take and maintain the Hulk, basically contain him with his forces. And this is where Hulk basically states that he should have brought more people. And we get to see a battle erupt between the Hulk and General Ross's forces. So this leads Bruce Banner to basically go into stage 4, which includes like stuff like, I guess, Fin Fang Doom, as well as like the Marvel zombies. So that was really cool to see, and his rage just keeps increasing every time he does this. But you see that General Ross has the protege of Bruce Banner from this universe, and this turns out to be Peter Parker in this universe, and he basically throws this guy off of the helicopter that they were on, and basically is trying to get him to transform and get Bruce Banner to basically give up the other Bruce Banner, or get him to basically stop destroying his machines. This is where Bruce asks the other Bruce, who exactly this guy is that they're trying to kill or that they killed. This is where it's revealed that it's Peter Parker and that he was actually his protege, is someone that Bruce considered like a son in this universe. And the issue ends with Peter basically transforming into this spider Hulk creature. And yeah, it's a pretty short issue. Didn't have a lot of stuff, had a lot of action, but not a lot of plot progression. It mainly was just kind of like fillered up to end off with the Spider Hulk reveal. You can kind of tell when you're reading it that they're just trying to end off on a very big cliffhanger. But overall, a very solid issue, and I did enjoy the different action sequences we got, as well as the introduction of other fates of characters. Even Bruce Banner mentions characters, I think, like Moon Knight and Wolverine and stuff like that. Just like different Marvel heroes, he asks about the Punisher as well. And these characters just like don't exist in this universe, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, and that's how the issue ends with Spider Hulk Peter Parker reveal. So this story basically starts off with General Ross making his way in and capturing the Bruce Banner of this universe, his universe. It basically is beating him senseless to try to get information on the Bruce Banner that's currently fighting the Spider Hulk. And Bruce Banner is taking a beating from the Spider Hulk, being a very strong. He's very monster-like, and Bruce Banner realizes that he's going to need more power to fight a Spider Hulk, so he puts the rage meter even higher, going from level 4 to level 5, it seems. And Betty Ross basically is talking, and this isn't really her, this is like a figment of his imagination, part of his consciousness. So she's basically talking to him, basically trying to get him to not try to kill Peter Parker, because he's just a kid in this universe. Maybe being like in his like 18, 19 years, maybe 20s, early 20s. And he's basically saying that he will do what he needs to do in order to defeat the Spider Hulk. So he's basically taking a beating from him, and he kind of like puts up the rage meter, and the battle continues. And he finally puts it from level 4 to level 5. And he reaches stage 5, which is the gods of like mythology and stuff like that, like Thor and Odin and the people from Asgard and stuff like that. We even see Loki on here, as well as Beta Ray Bill, I believe is his name. So we get a lot of the Asgardian characters, and I'm guessing people that aren't from Asgard, other gods in their universe. And yeah, it's pretty cool. And even the Hulk basically is surprised after he defeats all the zombies that now Banner is, he's pleading with Banner, saying Banner no, because now he's going to have to fight, someone that he's had a rivalry with for a very long time, being Thor. So, and this is kind of like giving us a little tease on what's to come in the future with the Banner of War storyline / event that's coming up in the next week or so. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. And we get to see that with this increase of his opponents, he gets more powerful and is able to land a nice hit on the Spider Hulk, basically making him morph back into Peter Parker, as we see that he's around like his 20s or 30s, it seems, in this universe. And this is where we get to see that he starts freaking out because General Ross basically is dropping these capsules. He's having his army drop these capsules, and it's revealed to us that these capsules will have certain people in them. Now, Bruce basically gets cocky until finally, when he's trying to be cocky with Betty Ross, the Starship Hulk basically explodes, and this leads him to basically go out of the spaceship of his consciousness, I guess. And Hulk's basically getting beat by Thor's, imagination. This is all like a figment of Bruce Banner's imagination / consciousness. And this is revealed to us as Betty's face begins to morph into a more evil state. That Betty isn't real, as she says, that this is just a figment of Bruce Banner's consciousness. And this is basically just like a skin that it's wearing. Basically, it's more of a dark figure, it seems, that's being controlled. So she actually takes control of Starship Hulk, from Banner as Banner's trying to hold on and not be, I guess, put into space, fly into space of his consciousness, into emptiness. And this is where she puts him, the Hulk, into stage 6, which is demons. And this is where Hulk has to become even more stronger to fight against these evil threats. And I mean, the people he has in here fighting him definitely would push him to go all out, so that's pretty cool. Now we get to see that the Bruce Banner of this universe knows exactly what's inside those capsules, and he tells General Ross he doesn't think that he would actually do something like this, but General Ross says that he doesn't do whatever he needs to do in order to, beat this Hulk from this other universe, and that he doesn't even view these things as people anymore, and that they're just, they're abominations. And we get to see that in this universe there's tons of different abominations other than, I guess, the one that we get in our universe. So they basically attack the Starship Hulk, and these things are huge. They're not like the regular abomination where he's around the same size as the Hulk, I believe. So Banner basically gets knocked out into space as he begs basically for her to stop this, and she kind of like says a line saying, "But I'm proud of you, son," which implies that this is supposed to be like a figment of his father, his abusive father in his mind. So we'll see what happens with that, as this version of Betty just grabs Bruce and flings him off into space. So that's pretty cool, and Bruce basically just yells no, and she says we'll take it from here, and raises it to level 9. And with level 9, a new energy and a new sense of power and rage is exploded from Hulk. And this is going to lead us into the conclusion for the first story arc in this Hulk run, the Smashtronaut storyline. I think it's called the Smashtronaut storyline. So I think it's the name of this first story. But that's how the issue ends, with Hulk basically destroying these abominations with pure energy. I'm guessing it's gamma ray energy that's coming out of him, but it's red, which is kind of weird. I always thought it was green energy. And maybe this isn't gamma ray energy, but something else that is finally unlocked in the Hulk. We'll have to wait and see if that's explained. And yeah, that's how the issue ends. And yeah, with the Starship Hulk just going crazy with gamma ray energy, I'm expecting, because, he's gamma ray powered. And he's just shooting all these abominations with this red energy as Betty Ross slash, this evil version of her in Bruce's mind, which it seems to be taking traits of his father. His abusive father basically is controlling Starship Hulk and is making him rage out to the mats. And as we see, the abominations are not going down easily. They're able to, fight their way back against the Hulk, and the Hulk gets grabbed by one of them, showing how big they actually are compared to him, which is crazy considering how big the Hulk actually is. So these things must be like over 10 feet tall, which is crazy. But Betty basically raises the rage meter to a level that should not be used. Something that it was implied that Bruce himself would not be using if given the choice. So the fact that she went past this limit finally unlocks something in the Hulk, which gives him a new transformation. He starts morphing and transforming in this abomination's arms, basically, as Betty basically is giving us explanations of how they feel about the way people view the Hulks in general on their universe, and this universe, and it seems all universes to have a Hulk are looked at the same way, as like some type of weapon and something that people want to use for their wars and battles and stuff like that. So she basically says, why can't the Hulk have a Hulk? And this is where we're revealed to Titan Hulk, or the Titan Hulk, which is a 30-foot tall version of the Hulk that kind of looks similar to Doomsday, to be honest. Seems very inspired by Doomsday, which is ironic because people like to pit the Hulk and Doomsday against each other on who would win in a fight. But Hulk's new form looks very similar to like a Doomsday like design choice, I guess you'd say. Very similar, very inspired, but it's very cool looking, and he's very spiky, very rock. He looks like he's made out of rocks basically, and magma and stuff like that. And he has all this red gamma ray energy just going all over the place out of his body, which is really cool. And it seems like his teeth have gotten sharpened, as well as his hands are very like almost symbiotic, like Venom or Carnage, which is really cool. And at this point, he basically just makes quick work of all the abominations. They really have no chance. And, this is where Hulk, it shows what he's going through inside of his body as he is this Titan Hulk in the physical realm. And the consciousness of Bruce Banner and the Hulk is now they're separated apparently. He's basically freaking out over everything that's happening. The people he's having to fight against, like Thanos, and just giant people, like I think Galactus as well. Giant cosmic threats, and it's just too much, which is making him transform into this Titan Hulk. And Banner basically goes to try to stop this from continuing and saving the Hulk basically in his mind. And this is where General Ross is revealed to what's happening with the Hulk on the battlefield as he's just destroying and killing all these abominations. This is where Bruce Banner basically is given a chance to, try to talk some sense to General Ross, but General Ross uses a gun to basically intimidate, tells him to sit down, basically. When he's given the chance, Bruce Banner, whenever General Ross is distracted by talking to one of his soldiers on the battleground, watching the whole thing happen with the Titan Hulk, this Bruce Banner basically tackles the General Ross of this universe and basically knocks the gun out of his hand, as well as the walkie-talkie or whatever he was using. And yeah, and this where Betty's whole body starts changing when Bruce is able to fight his way or like fly his way back somehow to the Starship Hulk, like station and the main station where he can control everything, the control deck. And this is where she basically starts taking on a more like evil form. And she thinks that she can defeat Banner pretty easily because he's just, human. This is where he unlocks the door for the Hulk to basically take out this manifestation of Betty, which is like evil in that. And he basically does that by breaking tons of the control deck area. And this is where we're simultaneously seeing the Bruce Banner who grabbed the gun and is aiming at General Ross, but General Ross basically tells him he can't do it. And he actually proves that he can, and he kills General Ross basically in cold blood, which is crazy. So in his universe, seems like he's going to have to deal with the consequences of killing General Ross, and basically probably going to get killed on sight. But Betty's monster form, whatever it is, evil form, basically gets destroyed by the Hulk. And Titan Hulk basically unleashes a ton of gamma ray red energy and destroys, I guess, whatever remained of the abominations that were sent after him to battle. Now, Hulk starts repairing his Starship Hulk armor that he has, so I'm guessing he used nanotech or some type of nanotech from Black Panther and Iron Man, and he's able to fly back to the base, I think, that the other Bruce Banner was at, as he was basically telling him that that they're gonna drop like a nuclear gamma bomb or something. So Bruce basically gets the Hulk to basically go back into that like trapped area, that space in his mind, and he basically closes the door as he runs away from him, while the Hulk's basically trying to plead with them. And he basically says that he's sorry, like he says, Hulk's sorry, basically. So we'll see how the relationship is doing in the next story arc. I'm guessing this isn't going to last too long with them being separated, so hopefully that gets fits after the banner for a storyline / event. But Bruce Banner basically gets back on his control deck, his control panel, and basically just automatically gets his outfit back. So I'm guessing because it's all in his mind, nothing's real, he can just manifest things. And this is where the Hulk, Starship Hulk, basically goes to try to stop the gamma ray bomb, and basically is able to cause like some type of an explosion which absorbs all the gamma ray energy. But when he's doing this, the other Bruce Banner, basically from this universe, tells him that he needs to go back to his own universe and that he'll have to deal with the consequences of what's going on here. So Hulk basically goes into the wormhole that he came to this universe in. And while he's doing this, we get to see that Bruce Banner is being confronted by all the General Ross's soldiers and that, so he's probably gonna get killed off at this moment, which is okay because this universe, we're probably never gonna be coming back to it. So it kind of like just closed up all the loose ends for this storyline, to leave this universe behind and just have it for this one storyline, I'm guessing. But as Hulk, Starship Hulk is going through this like wormhole, we get to see that he's surprised as he sees something ahead of him, as his systems basically tell him that something is incoming. And it's pretty cool. It says incoming fire, and he is wondering, who in the hell basically could even find us out in this like dimension portal thing, because you're kind of like just like, it's almost like the Speed Force. You could go to a different timeline or different universe. For them, I think it's universes, and this is where the issue ends with Thor's hammer. It seems Mjolnir about to hit the Hulk. And that's how it ends, saying basically Nets is Banner of War. It says Nets Banner of War. So Banner of War will be next in the storyline, basically. So I'm not sure if Hulk will be. I think Hulk's main series will be having some tie-ins, or will be telling parts of that storyline. So we're probably not going to get the next solid story arc until after July, maybe, or in July we'll get the next story arc. And I'm wondering where the story's gonna go, because Banner of War definitely should have ramifications for the future for this story, as well as for Thor's stories as well. And I am gonna try to read the modern Thor run in the next week or so, that way I can be caught up. And there's not that many, it's like 24 issues in, I think, right now. So I will definitely be doing that to try to know if I need anything, I need to know anything for the upcoming battle. And storyline for Banner of War. But overall, that was Hulk issue 6, which was the conclusion to the Smashtronaut story arc / storyline. And it was a good conclusion. I really enjoyed it. It's probably my favorite issue out of the first 6. It had a very good conclusion. I did enjoy seeing a new transformation for the Hulk. That's not something you usually see in comic books, stuff like transformations. So it's very uncalled for, or unexpected, I guess the way you would say it. And it was a fun surprise, and the action was really good. The storyline ended in a way where all the loose ends were tied up, and it seems like we're not going to be visiting this universe ever again. So it was a very solid, self-contained storyline, and hopefully, like I said, it was just a lead up and let us understand more about Starship Hulk. I think that was the main point of this first story arc, was basically to learn about Starship Hulk, because it's going to be important for the future story arcs / storylines. But that's going to be all, guys. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, as we will be covering Banner of War once it starts coming out, which I believe is May 11th. So we have a few days until the first issue drops, but we'll be covering out on time, as I will be trying to get these videos out when the issues are dropping for this event, as well as the Thor and Hulk tie-in issues. They're going to be parts of the event as well, telling you like part 1, part 2, part 3, stuff like that. So we will be covering those when we need to cover them as well. And eventually I will be probably covering Thor on the channel as well, as Thor's issues are coming out, as well as I get caught up. And yeah, so that's going to be like something I'm going to be working on next week or two. But that's going to be all, guys. Till next video, God bless you, and until next lesson, keep on reading those comments.